U.S. warns about new Russian offensive in many directions soon. According to White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby, Russia can launch a new offensive along many different vectors in the coming weeks. Speaking to CNN, Kirby emphasized the critical nature of the next few weeks of the war, stating that the U.S. and other Western allies must ensure Ukraine is prepared for its planned spring counteroffensive. Earlier on March 16, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin underscored that Ukraine doesn't have time to waste before launching its counteroffensive. In line with Austin's statement, the Pentagon announced on March 21 that it would supply Ukraine with older M1A1 variants of its Abrams tanks. According to Pentagon spokesperson Brig General Ryder, as quoted by CNN, the move would allow the U.S. to deliver the tanks by the fall of this year. In the Russian-occupied parts of eastern and southern Ukraine, Russia's ammunition depots blow up, with large fires erupting as tons of ordnance detonate for hours. Some of these incidents cause giant blasts with a radius of hundreds of meters. Now that Ukraine has acquired advanced Western artillery and rocket systems, it has gradually begun a campaign to take out Russia's key military infrastructure. Over the last 4 weeks, nearly 20 Russian ammunition depots in Russian-occupied Donbass and Ukraine's south, including some of the largest, have been hit or completely destroyed. As Russia continues with its slow but steady advance in Ukraine's eastern region of Donbass, Ukraine's military is working to undermine Russia's overwhelming artillery power and disrupt its logistics deep in occupied territories. Ukrainian forces repelled 83 Russian attacks on March 22, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces said in its morning update. Russian troops are reportedly concentrating their efforts on conducting offensives toward Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Mariinka, and Shakhtarsk in Donetsk Oblast. The Ukrainian Air Force conducted 12 strikes against Russian temporary bases over the past 24 hours, while Ukraine's rocket and artillery forces destroyed a control point, 3 bases for Russian troops and equipment, an ammunition depot, and an electronic warfare station. On March 22, Russia launched 48 airstrikes and 75 MLRS attacks against Ukraine, targeting civilian infrastructure in Zhytomyr and Kiev regions. Russian forces also launched 21 Shahed-136 drones from Bryansk region, which shares a border with both Ukraine and Belarus. Ukraine downed 16 of those drones. 2 Russian missiles hit a residential building in Zaporizhia on March 22, the Zaporizhia Oblast Military Administration reported. Acting Mayor Anatoly Kurtiev later clarified that 2 apartment buildings came under attack. The number of people injured in Russia's missile strike on Zaporizhia has risen to 33, Zaporizhia Oblast, according to local officials. Meanwhile, Russia is shifting the main target of its missile and drone strikes in Ukraine, now focusing on logistics hubs and concentrations of forces, according to Vadim Skibitsky, deputy head of Ukraine's military intelligence agency HUR. The Russians will now slightly reorient the direction of the strikes, Skibitsky said in a March 22 interview to RBC Ukraine. These can be military facilities, concentrations of troops, and the logistics system of our units. The pivot comes as Ukraine enters spring with its energy system largely intact and the power on across the country, despite Russia's consistent campaign of mass cruise missile and drone strikes against energy infrastructure starting on October 10. Drone strikes continued over the past week, but not against the common targets of energy infrastructure. At least 8 people were killed in the town of Ryazhchev in Kiev Oblast, with 4 more still under the rubble, according to Emergency. According to the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, a dormitory and a school were partially destroyed by the attack. Rubin later reported that the body of a man was discovered at 9:54 a.m. under the rubble of the dormitory that was hit, raising the death toll to 4 people. 1 person was also killed and over 34 injured in a missile strike on residential buildings in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia on the same morning. 3 people were reported to be in serious condition, 19 in moderate condition, and 3 in mild condition, 2 of them children. The total damages in Ukraine caused by Russia's war have reached almost $143.8 billion, according to the Kiev School of Economics. This figure is a $6 billion increase as of the end of January, when KSE estimated in a report that Russia's full-scale invasion caused over $138 billion worth of damages. The Kyiv School of Economics regularly publishes data on damages caused to Ukraine by Russia's full-scale invasion as part of its Russia Will Pay project. According to the latest figures, Russia's war has damaged or destroyed over 150,000 residential buildings, including houses, apartment buildings, and dormitories, totaling $53.6 billion in damages. Damages to infrastructure are estimated at $36.2 billion. These new figures include for the first time damages caused to Ukraine's forests, KSE said in its report, totaling $4.5 billion.